Natural family planning is one of God's gifts for these times, really for any times, but we've just discovered it over the past 50 years. What are the great advantages? It builds strong marriages, strong relationships, and eventually healthy, happy families. The divorce rate among people who use NFP is way low, below 5%, against a 50% divorce rate today, across the boards. But just get it into natural family planning itself. What are the advantages? Well, I've got a whole list here. Using the natural method, the woman is able to know herself, to learn and appreciate the processes of her own body. So she's working with her God-given fertility instead of frustrating it with medicine, with pills. And using the natural means, the woman accepts, controls, and respects her fertility from the beginning to the end of her reproductive years. So she respects her God-given fertility instead of treating it like a disease. Kind of strange, isn't it, to consider God's gift as a disease? Then NFP, the natural method, fosters communications between the husband and wife. If you can talk about fertility and the oncoming signs of fertility, cervical mucus, a couple say you can talk about anything. See, and if you're approaching your fertile period, you have to ask yourself the questions: do we have a legitimate reason for postponing the pregnancy? And that brings up a whole list of things for discussion within the relationship. But it fosters communications magnificently instead of sweeping the real questions under a rug and ignoring them. Terribly important. Then, when the couple must postpone a pregnancy, the very abstinence, periodic abstinence, it fosters and strengthens the marriage. How? Well, if the husband, especially the husband and the wife, have to forego the marital act during their fertile period, that means they are what? They are giving a sign, a witness to one another. They're willing to share the burden of responsible parenthood. They're sharing the burden. That the husband says, I'm willing to forego my demands upon you for our own good. And so they find other ways of expressing their emotions and their affections, acts of kindness. They keep the relationship alive. They don't simply immediately resort to a sexual intercourse. And then when the infertile period returns and they return back to normal relations, it's like a new honeymoon again. Don't take it from me. Take it from couples who experience these things, who tell me these things all the time. Still other things. The attitude of spouses with the natural method is, our fertility is a gift from God, so they treasure it. See, it's not an inconvenience. It's not something constantly provoking you. It's a God-given thing. We priests and anyone who's single is supposed to be a celibate. And so, we know something about abstinence. We know something about fertility is a God-given gift. And the only reason we forsake it is for something greater. And if we don't appreciate the gift, we're not making much of a sacrifice. So it's terribly important, that couples appreciate their fertility and not consider it as just something they can either turn on or turn off at will. Terribly important. The natural means are completely safe. No harmful medical side effects. You get into the literature from honest, responsible OBGYNs, and you find there's all sorts of medical problems involved with contraception. Contraception is not good medicine. It's bad medicine. And interestingly enough, the World Congress of Health now lists the pill as a #1 carcinogen because of the direct link between contraception and breast cancer among women. It's so many side effects that are just completely ignored, glossed over, or denied by the pharmaceuticals and by the birth control industry. We treat all of these things as a great product and a great source of income. NFP is very natural, and it's easy to learn. I recommend that the men especially learn these things, because then they discover just how complex God made their wives, their physiology, the whole role of endocrines and hormones, and they understand why such powerful mood swings, when the different hormones kick in. They learn so much about how complex their beloved wife is, and then they learn how to work with that and to help her and to protect her. NFP is very effective. You're talking 99% effective. That's effective as any form of artificial birth control, and totally natural. Totally natural. NFP costs nothing other than the initial price and some simple learning materials. Contrast that with the constant payment for the pills and all the other injectables. And NFP can be used not only to avoid pregnancy, postponing the next pregnancy, but you could use it to help overcome infertility. See, one of the best ways of overcoming infertility, you're talking 20% young couples infertile these days. But the best way to overcome them is to work with nature, instead of resorting to things like in vitro fertilization and embryo transfer and all the horrible things that go with that. Because of that, today you have over 400,000 frozen embryos sitting around. 400,000 little persons. NFP completely avoids all of that. And NFP is totally acceptable to people of all cultures, educational levels, social and religious conditions. Everyone can use it with a clear conscience. You should know that Mother Teresa insisted that in every one of her convents, all over the world, China, South America, here, there must be at least one sister who's trained in teaching NFP. She saw the natural linkage between God's plan for marriage and spousal love and family, and the requirement for, if a couple's going to postpone pregnancies, they've got to have a morally good and effective means. Well, there it is, natural family planning.